What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Blackbeard vs. Law character in Pirate Rumble. This particular video, we're going to be looking at the Trafalgar Law. We've already made a video dedicated to Blackbeard doing his full showcase and his Rumble showcase, but today we're going to be having a look at Trafalgar Law. Now, Law is a little bit of a different one. He is a super interesting character considering he is focused on strikers. This is the current team that I have set up right now, and the whole reason why we've structured it in this way is due to what Law actually does with his abilities, because yes, he is striker focused, but he does have like a full soul role that he's trying to fulfill on your Rumble team. So if we have a look at his Rumble ability, your striker character is getting 6 health, 6 speed, 4 defense, and then it says slasher enemies level 7 attack down, and then he will revive himself 1 time up to 30% health. Honestly, a very good Rumble ability, no complaints there, but you do see that key component in the middle, slasher enemies level 7 attack down. That is what Law is trying to achieve. Building a striker team, but also trying to debuff the opponent slasher characters, which I think is a good thing because slashers have been terrorizing the Rumble meta over the past few months, especially just with the most recent release of S-Hawk that came out a few months back. Ever since his release, slashers have been incredibly powerful and very difficult to deal with. So I guess they're trying to come up with kind of counters against it. This might be the way to go. We shall see in this video. His Rumble special though on a 30 CT, which is about okay. The only real issue that I have with this overall is the fact that if you are trying to build him versus slashers are very fast, right? They have very high special CT, they're able to launch their special very quickly. And the only real issue that I may see is that Law might be knocked out or be severely weakened by the time he gets a chance to use his special. The fact that he does have a revive definitely helps him out and gives him good credence into helping you take on those opponent slasher characters. But I digress. Let's have a look at what the special does. 30 CT, and it targets striker characters on your team for a level 6 attack buff for 20 seconds, and then targets 2 high defense enemies for a 40% health cut, and then 5,000 damage, and then also targets slasher enemies for an 80% chance of action bind, and an 80% chance of special bind for 10 seconds. Now, this is a really cool effect. It is a little bit of a shame that the action bind and the special bind are not guaranteed to hit, but the cool thing about this is that if you're going up against an enemy in Pirate Rumble, more often than not, they're not going to have that many resistances where they can, resist like 2 or 3 debuffs at once. So what this basically means is that if this hits your opponent, if they resist action bind, obviously that sucks, but you can just hit them with special bind instead, or vice versa. If they being able to resist special bind, then you can go ahead and action bind them instead. The whole point of it is to just nerf slashers so they can't use their specials against you. And once again, we're going to showcase that in today's video. I'm showcasing how powerful that this effect actually is. I do feel like if it was 100% chance, obviously it would be insanely busted, but 80% chance I think is okay because you're going to be hitting it more often than not. Once again, we'll show it off in this video today. And the damage that he does provide, he does only target 2 characters, but it is a decent health cut and a decent fixed damage. So I think that it's not too bad, all things considered. He himself is going to evade recovery bind, which is a kind of redundant, honestly. He does evade special bind though, and also 30% damage reduction versus int characters. So Trafalgar Law is a very interesting character. I don't think he's going to be a top meta threat just yet. It's really dependent on the characters that you have. And I mean, just looking at the Rumble team that I have, I am still missing key pieces like Rumble Rare Recruit Hina. There's a couple of other striker characters that I don't have, because I do feel like there is a potential in the future to build like a mono Psy striker team, as we have Enel, who is given out for free. He's a striker unit, he can buff Psy, and also Enel can debuff slashers with his Rumble ability. So I feel like there is a team core here ready to be built, but I feel like there are still a couple of key pieces that are really holding back from this team being as good as it can be. So of course, all of the clips that we're going to be showcasing in this video today are fully going to be focused around the fact that, you know, your lore is basically structured to try and take down opposing slasher class characters, and that is the whole goal of this video. The first of which we're going up against is the Kawamatsu challenge. The Kawamatsu challenge is probably the easier of some of these slasher challenges. The one with S-Hawk is going to be the final clip, because I do feel like that is probably the most annoying to take on, because S-Hawk and Roger Whitebeard together are absolute beasts. And I mean, that's part and reason why slashers are like one of the best classes right now in Rumble, is because you have access to one of the best nuking characters in Rumble at 20 cost. And for some reason, they decided to, you know, put that in the game and think that was a good idea. Absolutely absurd. But having a look at what's going on here, this is what we kind of expected to happen with slashers being able to launch their specials pretty quick. Enel has a really low special CT, which is kind of nice to just spam out a little bit of damage. Getting a little unlucky here as my opponent does knock out our Roger Whitebeard and our Zoro, so we lose out on a lot of special CT really quickly. Lore coming in though with pretty good damage, as well as severely debuffing my opponent's slashers with the action bind and the special bind. And ideally we would get Jack to launch prior to some of these other characters launching their specials, to just whittle down their HP so that potentially Lore can get a knockout and Roger Whitebeard. You see the power of that rare recruit Shiki, who is a slasher and a striker, and he does exceptional damage through defense towards slasher characters specifically. So that Shiki feels like a unit that you want to probably use alongside Lore in this scenario if you are building, you know, that mono striker team up against opposing slasher squads. We do have Smoker here. I think that he's just a pretty solid unit as well. Even though his effects are mainly driven focused, he is also a striker character, so that actually helps out the rest of the team. And also Rumble Rare Recruit, what's his name? Kanjuro. Kanjuro was also not too bad. There's definitely better units. I would love to have had Rare Recruit Rumble Hina, but unfortunately that is not to be the case right now. But either way, Lore coming in towards the end here, doing a bit more damage towards these characters, and also severely nerfing them with action bind and special bind, and that's part and reason. You know, if Lore is able to proc that special, it gives you such a massive chance up against slasher teams. Moving up against the Zoro, the Egghead Zoro batch. This one is a bit of an interesting one, specifically because it is a bit of an obscure team. This is like trying to go like Psy slashers in a way. It's a bit of a weird one, but the thing that is a little bit annoying is the fact that you have Lore, Wano Lore on my opponent's side of the field. When he comes on, it can severely nerf our driven and powerhouse characters special CT, which does kind of suck because obviously we don't want that to happen. So that is a little bit of a hurdle to get around. Luckily, it is on the bench though, so it's not really going to affect us for the you know, at least the first half of the game until something gets knocked out. But this is not as threatening as some of the other slasher teams that you're going to come up against, because they don't have like those big damage dealer characters. I will admit that Kozuki, Odin, and Toki, that dual unit, can actually do pretty solid damage, but the rest of the team is kind of like whatever. Like, there's really not a lot of big damage threats that you kind of have to worry about. But the thing about my opposing team is that they have like really good ways to launch their specials because of Kawamatsu, which can consistently lower their special CT, as well as Borsalino, who is also just a really good character for speeding up slashes in general. But luckily for us, we're able to launch a bunch of our specials before the big damage dealing specials get dealt against us, and then we just absolutely wipe the floor with them at this point, and there is absolutely no comeback for my opponent at all. So yeah, as I said, you know, if Lore comes in and nerfs them and they can't use their specials, it just opens up the door for massive potential for you to just get a shoe-in against those slasher teams and actually get the win, which is really impressive to see considering how good slashers actually are. But that's also one of their downfalls, is that they're not very good defensively. You can build more defensive slashers, but they're really just not as potent in my opinion. But, you know, more often than not when you come up against a really opposing slasher team, this may be an option moving forward. Let's see how things go once we actually get to like a grand party season or something like that. And then finally, we can have a look at the last team, which is going to be probably the best slasher-focused challenge difficulty quest that you can come up against in terms of difficulty, because of S-Hawk and Roger Whitebeard. They've got V1 Odin, they've got K-Dad. A little bit of a weird choice for them to still stick with Doflamingo, but understandably, this is trying to showcase S-Hawk. S-Hawk does give buffs to Driven, I do believe, so it does make sense that, you know, he's running a really powerful slasher team because that's probably S-Hawk's best team, but he does still provide buffs to Int and Driven characters specifically, so it does make a little bit of sense. But I digress. Just looking at how this team kind of goes up, we have Jack ready to go. We really want him to go first, as he goes ahead and just health cuts them, so it makes the rest of our characters a bit more likely to get a knockout. Luckily, Roger Whitebeard and Odin just missed their specials. We've got Zoro coming in with some really nice fixed damage. Enel, of course, is going to launch his special as well to just do a bit of damage. It does get a bit of defense to Law and Enel specifically. And then you have the K-Dad coming in, and we actually tank it pretty well, like not really too bad at all. So that's kind of nice. But then we have Law come in, and this is the perfect time for him to come in because my opponents haven't launched their main specials yet. So we see if we can action bind them and special bind them, and we basically hit the entire enemy side of the field, which is fantastic. Roger Whitebeard coming in with the hit, knocking out the K-Dad and the opposing Roger Whitebeard. So that's one less character that we have to be concerned about on my opponent's side of the field. And once S-Hawk gets knocked out, there's really not a lot of threats on my opponent's team that can really pose a threat. So that's just the whole goal. Hopefully we can get S-Hawk. He's at the back of the team there, you can see. He's right at the back, so he's going to be very difficult to hit. They do get the S-Hawk damage off. Somehow we tank the hit, which is crazy. Lord does come in though and actually do a pretty good amount of damage to us, knocking out the Jack and the Roger Whitebeard, unfortunately. And Odin also coming in for damage, but somehow Zoro likes to tank that hit. He loves it. And then we go into Smoker and Shiki on the back line, and then just from here, because S-Hawk is chilling in the front, he doesn't have that much health left, so he's going to be taken down very easily, and then we just get the swift victory. So that is going to wrap it up for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about Law in Pipe Rumble down below in the comment section. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.
Watashi da.